Welcome to Macro Photography. I'm your host, Danielle Graham. This is Lesson 3, Nature. The world outside of your door is filled with beautiful and interesting subjects. Daisies blooming, dragonflies in flight, and dew droplets in the early morning. These are just a few of the many wonderful subjects that can be fully appreciated through a macro photographer's lens. This lesson will address some of the basic elements needed when photographing nature, and more specifically, flowers and insects. Number 1, flowers. Flowers are naturally interesting subjects because of their bright colors and textures. With macro photography, the intricate details of flowers can be captured in ways that the human eye could never view them. When photographing a flower, don't be afraid to take shots of the subject from multiple angles and using different depths of field. A high angle with a tight frame and wide depth of field will really open up the subject, showing its intricate details. A low angle with a shallow depth of field will make the flower feel bigger than life. Another key element to remember when photographing flowers is to look for the backgrounds that will complement the subject. From a low angle, the sky is an excellent background to use. The textured dirt can be an interesting addition to a photograph. Above all, being aware of the subject's background is vital in creating a quality photograph. By using depth of field, the background can be in focus, which isn't bad if it is a simple background. However, when this background is distracting, a shallow depth of field is the easiest solution. By making a shallow depth of field, the background can be blurred out, which will do two things. It will draw out the subject and take away the distracting background. The following two photographs demonstrate well the difference that a shallow depth of field makes when it comes to distracting background. As you can see, the second photograph is much less distracting than the first because of the shallow depth of field. Experiment with lighting when photographing flowers. Using a backlight can add an interesting effect to the photograph. Also, spurting water droplets can add an interesting dynamic to the subject. Number 2, insects. Insects can be a frustrating subject to photograph. Their fast movements require high shutter speeds, which in turn require more light. A shutter speed of 2/50th of a second or above is advisable when capturing insects. This means that the photographer needs to be aware of the light available to compensate for the loss of light attributed to fast shutter speeds. This can be a frustration. However, the reward of capturing a sharp and interesting macro photograph of an insect is worth the effort. As with flowers, the background is a key aspect in photographing insects. Keep it simple or blur it out. In most cases, blurring out the background will be the best option. A photographer cannot control when and where an insect lands. Therefore, if the background is distracting, a wide aperture is the only way to effectively eliminate a distracting background. The ideal time to photograph an insect is when it is hovering over an object or resting on that object. The object is moving less and will raise the likelihood of capturing a sharp, focused photograph. Capturing insects is like photographing a sports game. You never know what you're going to get until you get it on your computer screen. Most photographs will be thrown in the trash, but there will be a few that you keep forever. This week's assignment, nature. Take a photograph of an insect, leaf, flower, or any object that is intrinsic to nature. Make sure you shoot your subject outside. Try different angles and depths of field. Please write a one-paragraph artist statement explaining your photographic decisions. Include in your artist statement what you have learned through this assignment.